Mr. Charania tweeted out, we talked about it in the last segment, now we're going to really dive into it here. 13 minutes ago, sources, Kyrie Irving, and yes, this is the real Twitter account, we checked. Kyrie Irving has reached out to Lakers star LeBron James in attempts to see if James would come to Dallas. Irving is a free agent this offseason. Now, I just want to start this whole discussion by saying I don't think LeBron James is ever going to play for the Dallas Mavericks.
Why?
I feel like
he loves Luka. He loves Mark Cuban.
But he doesn't love taking a pay cut. He's been pretty insistent about that. And the Mavericks don't have the draft capital to take his son.
Las Colinas is mini Hollywood.
Is that true?
What do you mean the Mavericks don't have the draft capital to take Bronny?
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to happen in 2 years?
They don't have, wouldn't it just be one more year?
Well, he might need a second year for polishing and stuff. Yeah, I don't know.
Well, great. If we can manipulate it that way, let's figure out a way to get it going. But I just worry about the assets, cap space, everything like that. However, that's realistic, Kevin. Fun Kevin knows that in the NBA, star players usually find a way to get what they want. And if LeBron decides Dallas is a good place to be, he can move his production company to Texas. He can get all kinds of tax breaks. I know Joey pointed out there's no state tax, and usually athletes don't care about that. But if you're a businessman and you're moving your production company to base it in Texas, I'm sure we could figure some stuff out there. And so,
what better place to have tacos on a Tuesday?
That's a
Texas.
great point. That is a great point. Now, you would have to wipe out the rest of your team, essentially, for 2024-2025.
The rest of the team stinks anyway, though.
Well, I definitely see your point on that. Now, the good news is, technically, Jaden Hardy only counts for $2 million in 24-25, because that's what we're talking about. Because while Kyrie is a free agent, LeBron still has 1 year under contract. So I think, tell me if y'all think I'm on the right track, that Kyrie is like, hey, I know I can't get to Los Angeles right now. I'm thinking about re-signing with these guys because they're going to give me all the money. Would you come join me in a year? That is my interpretation of
That's what I'm thinking at this point, too. I think this could be good news for Mavs fans that Kyrie's agent has been working behind the scenes to see how likely he can get Kyrie to LA. That's where he wants to be. He was just at a WNBA game yesterday in LA. He's living in LA. That's where he wants to be. He wants to be a Laker. But maybe his agent has informed him over the weekend, hey, I've tried every route possible to see how to get you to Lakerland while you're still making $40 million a year. It doesn't look like it's going to happen, Kyrie. So we need to start thinking about other avenues. And it looks like the Mavericks are going to be our best situation financially. You do like the head coach. Dallas seems to be a pretty cool place with you. You get along with Luka. I understand maybe basketball wise you don't love playing with them, but you guys get along as people.
Yeah.
So what can we do to make you happy in Dallas for this upcoming season and future seasons? And it's, hey, get LeBron to join me in Dallas.
Chris Haynes has tweeted out in the quote tweet of the Bleacher Report sources story that the Mavs were preparing to make an offer for LeBron James last season when the Lakers were kind of falling apart, but the Lakers made their string of trades that made their team good. So I don't know that, but was he tradable at that point? I don't know if he
Not
was.
Really.
So
I mean, he's tradable, but were the Lakers going to restart their franchise?
Yeah.
Probably not, especially because they still have a lot of things out because of trading for Anthony Davis, trading for Russell Westbrook. They don't have assets in the future. They're screwed more than the Mavs, honestly, when it comes to the draft and trying to do stuff like that. But I'd look at it this way. If this is going to happen, Kevin, if this is really going to happen. And I promise
I'm listening. I'm crunching numbers, trying to figure this out.
The Mavs pretty much have to tank next year. And what I mean by that is they have to start making trades of giving away future assets, including this upcoming draft pick, to somehow get rid of Tim Hardaway Jr. because he's on the books in 2024-25 at $16.2 million. Davis Bertans is on the books at $16 million. Maxi Kleba's on the book at $11 million. JaVale McGee's on the book for $6 million. Josh Green, you would almost have to look at and go, we have to just let him go, or it's really tough.
I have an idea about that in a second.
Okay. But you just start looking at it and you go, if you have to get rid of all of these players to create the cap space for 24-25, you have to get about $50 million under the cap, which means you have to get rid of every player. You have to start giving away assets. Hey, will you please take Bertans? And we can't take really any assets back that cost us any money in the future. You have to give away the 10th overall pick. Please take Tim Hardaway Jr. We'll give you our 2027 first round pick to do it. So you start running into you have to start giving away future assets just to get rid of players.
Now, there's a few different things happening on the fan text right now, one of which is this, and I totally get this person's point. The 817, the way Braun spoke out on Jerry, and I hear you on that, I really do. I just think a lot of this, for people in general, when it comes down to dollars and cents, they can change your mind. You know what I'm saying?
You can still hate Jerry. I don't think that will change.
I mean, he's hated one of his owners before, and they found a way to make it happen. And then other people are bringing up, the buzz was that he wanted to play with his son. I can't reconcile that for you right now because I know people believe that certain services are padding Bronny's ranking. But various things I've seen is he's about 18 to 20, give or take, in the next class. So
that's kind of where the Mavs will be if things go well.
But they won't have that pick.
Right.
And so that's what's going to hurt. And so you're going to have to, I can't reconcile that part for you right now. And then there are a lot of people who are like, I don't want it, either because they don't like his complaining and how that's going to rub off on Luka, or they think he might continue the slower pace of basketball the Mavericks are playing.
I do not think a LeBron. First of all, I'm not even sure a Kyrie and Luka team work together really to get the best out of each player. LeBron, Kyrie, and Luka together with one basketball. They'll
just pass it over and over and over.
LeBron doesn't play defense anymore in the regular season. I'm not going to his defense in the playoffs is different. Luka doesn't play defense. He hates it. It's just, you might as well say it's COVID to him. I mean, he hates it. And Kyrie's not a good defensive player, partly because of his size and strength. He's limited on who he can guard in the NBA. And two, he's not that engaged in wanting to play defense either, especially when you just watch the finals or you watch kind of playoff basketball. Yes, I get LeBron can up his level of defense. We've seen it time after time, but he's not going to give that effort in the regular season at 40 years old. He just can't anymore. And so then you're saying Luka, who hates defense, Kyrie, who's very limited defensively, and then they all need the ball the majority of the game to be the most successful player possible for themselves. I have no clue how a LeBron, Kyrie, and Luka team would make sense at all.
It's interesting because that seems to be and this is just one avenue. The early response from the fan text is, I actually thought people were like, I kind of thought people would be like, hey, however you can do it, figure out a way to make it happen. And that's just not the early kind of feedback I've gotten. I did, however, start to figure out a way to make it happen.
All right.
I need somebody to be willing to eat $7 million along the process.
Fine, I'll eat it.
Okay, great.
$7 million done.
So Luka for 24-25, when LeBron would be a free agent, $43 million. That's what he's going to count. That's the knowable. I put Kyrie down at 40 and LeBron at 48. All right. I need the combination of those two.
And that would be a pay cut for LeBron. He's scheduled he would opt out of a $50 million contract to take less money to come here.
And that's where I'm running into problems when it comes to one particular player. Because if I clear off the deck, let's just say 43, 48 for LeBron, and 40 for Kyrie. That puts you at $131 million. Josh Green's only $2 million, or excuse me, Jaden Hardy is only $2 million. So huzzah for that. We're at $133. The salary cap's $140 million. Here's where you start to run into any number of problems.
And you have cap hold, so we're already screwed.
So the cap hold for Josh Green is $14 million. If I could get somebody to cut $7 million, I could keep the cap hold on Josh Green, and then because of the bird rights, then we could figure that out down the line. But you would have to spend, Mike's right, you would have to spend the next year clearing the deck of, you already mentioned, McGee, Kleba, Bertans, Hardaway. You would have to get rid of the cap hold. Some of these would be easier than others.
And you're probably trading Josh Green in one of those deals to help out a team going, if we are taking on JaVale McGee, we need some, if you want nothing in return, we need something to take on JaVale McGee's 2-year contract at, close to 40 years old, that he showed no response to being able to play basketball at a high level last year. So you got to move on from Bullock. And then we're doing this for a 40-year-old. That's what I mean. I get he's the greatest 38-year-old I've ever seen in my life. His cardio, his body, everything, his game is still at a very high level at 38 years old. But so he has to play another season of NBA basketball. Then we'd get him the next year.
Can I ask you a question about that? Because I think your logic is spot on. Do you think that Mavericks will view it like that, or do you think the Mavericks will view it as we get both of them? Like, that's what I'm afraid of, is Kyrie and LeBron. Because they are like, well, this way we get to keep Kyrie too. He might try to leave, or we might have to take a week sign and trade, or whatever the case is. I totally hear you. And I'm not advocating and saying you sell out everything for this. I was just trying to tell you how I thought it could get done.
Corey, I'll let you speak on this. I just think that it doesn't make any sense, but it makes sense. It makes sense from a important standpoint. Mavericks being on TNT and ESPN, my gosh, if you have Luka, Kyrie, and LeBron on the same team,
holy crap,
they're going to want 50% of your games on national television.
You're the marquee Christmas game now.
And, I mean, the 6 games that they all play together are going to sell out easily, because they're not going to play all. It's just not going to happen. I mean, Kyrie could barely play, the majority of the games while he was here. That being said, it brings a level of intrigue to the team. That's what it's interest in the team is what it generates immediately. Now, my question is, how much of this is LeBron trying to leverage the Lakers to sell out and for this one season for him so he can have that opportunity because he's considered retirement? And also, would this be the time where Mark says, okay, for this, I will go over the luxury tax. For this, I will spend that max amount of money? Because I do feel like there is a, hey, Lakers, y'all take care of this for me right now, or I'm see you later. And I think he still sees you later if he desires and wants to do something like that.
I wonder this. Let me throw this out here, and this is probably for a whole nother discussion. If LeBron says no to this, which most likely he will, to Kyrie's request of, hey, you think you want to come to Dallas? And he says, no, I don't want to come to Dallas. I'm going to stay a Laker for probably the rest of my career. Is there a possibility Kyrie goes, I just want to sign a 1-year deal then with the Mavericks? If nothing's out there, all the free agent teams are rebuilding teams, Orlando, Houston, and he's like, I'm not going to a rebuilding team and playing with a bunch of young guys. I'll sign with Dallas because they're willing to give me the most money. But you know what? I'll bet on myself that I can keep the same attitude that I kept with the Mavericks for approximately 15 games. I'll just sign a 1-year contract because then the next year, the Lakers have player options, not the Lakers, but LeBron has a player option. Anthony Davis has a player option, and they literally have no human being under a contract besides those 2 guys after the 23-24 contract. Would Kyrie sign a 1-year deal, maybe with a player option, so that he can almost dictate, if it doesn't go well, I'll just opt into my $43 million player option with the Mavs. But if it goes well, I'm opting out, and the Lakers literally have no human being under contract as of right now today.
I don't think so. Okay. I think he wants the money now.
Guaranteed.
Or maybe they're trying to figure out, or maybe if LeBron says yes to this, they're trying to make the trade happen now, which is a whole different deal. And
let me ask you this, because I hear you.
No.
If I'm Kyrie and Kyrie's agent and I say, Dallas, I'm willing to sign with you on a 3-year contract at, let's say, $130 million. First year, I need to start at $40 million. I need the number to start with a 4. I have a team option the second and third year. What do you say to me if I'm Kyrie and Kyrie's agent and say, I'll sign a 3-year deal, but I want those to be player options for me?
I do not envision a scenario in which the team option for that flies either. I think you're right. I think it needs to be player option. I told you at the very beginning.
Yeah, I don't think he's doing team option because he felt disrespected by Brooklyn in that situation. So, but what if Kyrie says, I need a player option after year one to make sure I liked playing with Luka, we were a good team, and that other players that I want to play with want to come to Dallas, and somehow you can facilitate my wants, because he is a pseudo GM throughout his career.
Sure.
Yes.
And here's the issue that you run into then. From the 214, let's just go in the trade space for just a quick second. People are trying to help. Trade Hardaway, Bertans, and Hardy. That's almost $37 million off. But nobody wants those first two deals. Yeah. And to make that happen, you'd have to throw in Hardy and your number 10 pick just to get that money off the books. Then what would you be trading to the Lakers? Like our first round pick in 7,000 years plus Josh Green? Like something there would have to make sense because the Lakers don't have to trade LeBron. The brilliance of the NBA is LeBron can be like, yes, you do, because I don't want to be here anymore. And that is one advantage that, like, if you're the team that the player wants to go to, we've been on the other side of that. But this would be incredibly difficult. I will say it's conceivably possible.
Yeah.
But I also kind of think this is just what people say to try to get your money.
And this is fun to talk about, but I would say if LeBron is going to leave the Lakers for his final year or two in the NBA, I would assume it would be to go back to Cleveland or to go back to Miami. Does he, or maybe New York, maybe to go to the Knicks and be at Madison Square Garden for a season. I just can't imagine LeBron wanting to come. I get the Luka connection. I can't imagine with the Mavs winning 38 games last year that's his, like, that team's ready to win it all with JaVale McGee and Dwight Powell running the show at center.